My name is Jen Walker, and I am the Research and Extension Manager with the Alberta Pulse Growers. And I'm really excited today to get a chance to talk to Fiona Briody, who is working with the On-Farm Climate Action Fund. And maybe, Fiona, I'll just give you a couple minutes to introduce yourself.
Great, and thanks for having me. My name is Fiona Briody, as you mentioned. I work with ARDAR, Results Driven Agriculture Research, and I'm the OFCAF Program Manager.
Now, Fiona, we know you from another life. So you've been connected with ag in the province for a number of years. So what was your history before working with ARDAR?
I hate to admit how old I am and how many years I've been in this industry, but it has been longer than I think in my mind. So I have been in ag my whole career, and really on the environmental ag front has been really my focus. So I spent 18 years with Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, PFRA, if people remember that organization. So I started there as a soil conservationist, and then when I left there, I was the technical director for Alberta Northwest Territories and the Yukon. And so I've had a couple other stints working with Environmental Farm Plan, and also worked with AFSC as manager of a couple of their field offices. So familiar with insurance, lending, all those facets. And then also worked with the crop sector working group doing their environmental piece. So all the crop commodity groups. And so, yeah, it's kind of been a varied experience, but as I said, always with agriculture, most of it directly with farmers and always on that ag environmental, front.
So now specifically working with the Climate Action Fund, this is and you'll have to correct me where I go wrong. It's a federal government initiative that's administered by the province, and the focus of the program is what?
So it's an agriculture and agri-food program administered actually by the federal government. So the province actually is not involved directly in this program. And so it has delivered the funds across Canada to various people who applied to deliver it, and ARDAR was one. We actually have four organizations who deliver the program in Alberta: the Canadian Canola Council. Hope I got that right. CCC. I always know that as CCC. So if I got that order wrong, Canadian Forage and Grasslands Association does the rotational grazing one, and then EcoCert as well has funds for Alberta, and that's really focused on organic production.
So who's eligible for this funding? Maybe we'll start there.
Sure. So I'll focus on ARDAR's program obviously today, but any farmer who has $25,000 income a year, you have to be obviously a Alberta resident and headquartered in Alberta. And really, it's eligible to anyone, but you have to be an active farmer and have that $25,000 worth of income to be eligible.
Okay, and is it open to mixed farms, crop farmers, livestock farmers? Are there any specifics?
It's open to all farmers, so our three main categories are nitrogen management, rotational grazing, and cover crop. And so if you want to do any of those activities, it doesn't matter what kind of farm you are to us. As long as that's something you're interested in doing on your farm, you're open to apply.
Okay. Now, as I understand the program, and I'll maybe get you to expand on it a little bit, this is for kind of new to me best management practices. Is that correct? So it's making change?
Yeah, that's correct. So we say it as new to field or new to farm. So if it's new to your farm, that's obviously quite explanatory, but it also can be new to field. So if you tried it, say cover crops in one field and just experimented with a few acres, as long as you put it in a different field and you've expanded those acres, it can still be something that's eligible. So new to field, new to farm is kind of the lingo we use. And I think the only one that kind of doesn't fit that is rotational grazing. So obviously most people will have grazed there. That's really about intensifying your grazing, so it doesn't have to be new to that field or new to your farm. You're really just increasing the intensity and the management of those fields.
For me as a farmer, Can I apply for multiple different buckets and multiple different times, or is this kind of a one-time thing where I have to have an entire plan and present it?
No, it's not an entire plan. So we have a maximum of $75,000 per farm that we fund, and we fund 85% of the cost share for those practices. So quite good program in terms of our cost share there. And you can make applications many times across those three categories. And in multiple years. So, whatever works for you, we're currently taking applications just for this year, and our applications close November 7th.
And then, as I understand it, there will be a new application phase in 2023.
That's right. So we'll open on February 13th, and that's for the following year. And yeah, so this current year is retroactive. So if you could do things without our approval back to April 1st, and next year you'll need approval before you go ahead with these
Or before.
activities.
Okay, so I just want to reiterate that. So for this application up till November 7th, it's retro to April 1. And for the February, it's pre-planning. Okay, so can we talk about the application process a little bit? Because I've heard that can be a bit challenging or confusing, and that there's some steps that we can take to make this easier.
Yeah, and hopefully that's not true. But I hope that's not true. It actually sounds fairly complicated, but when you look at it, I think most people are not having a ton of trouble. So the first step really is we have templates. They're one-page templates for each of those practices, where you will tell us, is it new to the farm, new to the field, what kind of operation you have, what the land location are, and really kind of describe to us what you're going to do and the cost of those things. You will need that to be recommended by a professional agrologist or certified crop advisor. And so that's just a one pager. So it sounds complicated when I say you need a template that's recommended by a PAG or CCA, but it is a one pager. And really, once you get that information, that's really what you need to apply online. So when you have that one page done, you're pretty much done most of your work for the online application. So you have that signed off by or recommended by a PAG or CCA, and then you go online on our Argo system, we call it, and you register, and then just go in and put information about who you are, your farm, put that application in and tell us why you want to make those changes, have some cost estimates, and then you submit that application. You agree to the contract, which basically says everything you're telling us is true in terms of what you're going to do. And then submit it and we review it. Once we review it, you'll get an email back saying, yes, you're approved for this amount on these activities. And then once you implement that activity, you submit your invoices online. And then we review those to make sure they're in line with what we approved. And then we'll e-transfer you the money.
Okay, it sounds simple. I have another question. Is there a list of PAGs or CCAs? Is there any way that you can kind of assist me as a farmer who may not directly know? I might have an environmental farm plan, but I might not necessarily be working with a certified crop advisor or a professional agrologist.
Yep. So we have a list and on our webpage, a list that you can go on, and we also have sort of how to navigate on both the Alberta Institute of Agrologists and the Certified Crop Advisor websites, where you can put in which is the subject you want, whether that be cropping or grazing, your area, say you're from Red Deer, and then it will pop up with a list of options for you to choose from. So we hope people can navigate with that. We also have worked really closely with applied research associations and forage associations, so that's another place you can start to get that help as well. But if all those fail, you can certainly send an email to us and we'll send you a list of people in your area to choose from.
Perfect. One final question, Fiona. You as a farmer, what do you see as the greatest value from participating in a program like this?
I think there's lots of value, but I think because it's such a broad category of activities, I I like to believe, based on our feedback and what I see there really is something for everybody in our program, whether you're a crop producer, a livestock producer, hog producers are taking advantage of our manure application process. So I think there's something there for every type of farmer you are. I think the cost shares are really good, which is an incentive. And the feedback we're getting is that, these are projects people have planned for some time, but there's been some pretty hard years for our industry in the last few years with supply issues, with drought, with feed supplies, all those sorts of things. And so these are plans people have had on their shelves for a very long time, or a few years anyways. And so they've made the plan, but they just haven't been able to implement it. And really, with this cost share and the max of 75,000, this is sort of that tipping point that allows people to do the things they've really wanted to do for a while.
Thank you so much, Fiona. Thank you for your time today. And we'll make sure that we post the links to the ARDAR website and the application process. And there's some great webinars and some further details, some outlines of eligible costs and ineligible costs that are all laid out really nicely on that website. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me. And again, reach out anytime for participants who are interested we have a 1-800 number, and we have an email, ofcaf.bmp@ardar.ca. So please don't sit and feel frustrated with the program or our online system. We're always here to help you, and we'll find a way to get you through our process.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Fiona.